Welcome back, my lovely people. Today we are going to continue this talk about archetypes. We have made it to the P's, everybody, so just bear with me as we continue to learn. Let's go. Okay, I've been getting some issues with copyrights coming up on my videos, so I'm not sure if it's from the pictures that I choose or if it's from my exit music or if it's from the fact that I'm simply reviewing this book, whatever the case may be. So, with all that being said, we are going to continue reviewing Sacred Contracts by Carolyn Mace. We are in the stage of learning all of the archetypes so that we can continue to get to know them and figure out which ones represent our family of 12. Today we are starting with the Pioneer, or the Explorer, or the Settler, coming to you straight from the park. Okay? The Pioneer is called to discover and explore new lands, whether that territory is external or internal. The passion to explore the South Pole is as much as a pioneering endeavor as a passion to explore medicine or spiritual practice. Even initiating new fashions, art, music, literature, or business ventures may qualify as expressions of this archetype. The core ingredient is innovation. Doing and creating what has not been done before. To consider this archetype seriously as one of your 12, your life must be characterized by a need to step on fresh and undiscovered territory in at least one realm. The Shadow Pioneer manifests as a compulsive need to abandon one's past and move on, just like Dun Juan or the Fiend pioneers every new conquest. Those who are forced out of their homeland and made into unwilling pioneers, like the Jews, Africans bound into slavery, etc., Native Americans, should not be included under the shadow. Next, we have the pirate. So, pirates were traditionally the thieves of the open seas, pursuing rich treasures and burying them in caves, thus creating archetypal legends around buried treasures within the caves of our inner being. Although pirates were bandits for peasant population, they symbolized freedom and the ability to strike back at the rich and, those who made their wealth from the labors of the poor. Modern pirates steal everything from intellectual property to information via the internet. It is tempting for us to steal another person's energy or creative wealth. The search for our own spiritual goal is a metaphor coming of age in terms of spiritual awareness by finding our own value rather than pirating others' wealth. Next up, we have the poet. So the poet is closely related to both the author and the artist. The poet combines lyricism with sharp insight, finding the essence of the beauty and truth not only in the epic affairs of humanity, but also in everyday acts and objects. Classic poetry, events and great deeds, and also it expresses wonder at the hidden joys and sorrows that most of us might have overlooked. And although you don't have to be a published poet to have this as one of your 12 archetypes, you do need to be driven by the need and the ability to discover beauty in people, things, and places around you and express it in a way that helps you see the beauty too, and others see that beauty too. Okay? So that's the poet. Moving on, we have the priest. The priest is the ritual that establishes the unique role of the priest is being ordained. The official capacity to facilitate the making of spiritual vows. Commitments made to the divine authority. So we have rituals of initiation that allows the priest, the rabbi, the shaman, or medicine man to serve as a vehicle or spiritual channel of energy for others. Many of those devoted to spiritual life, such as the monks and the nuns, do not facilitate the ritual exchange and vows and spiritual energy. Okay, ordination also empowers the priest to convey to the public the power of sacred teachings, rituals, wisdom, morality, and ethics of spiritual traditions. Because of these profound spiritual responsibilities, the ordained are expected to represent the teachings through personal example. You cannot be out here saying that this is a part of your 12 or you have been ordained to do something if you don't show it, if you don't be it, walk it, speak it, etc. You have to have that personal example. And so the shadow side of this archetype manifests through the inability to live accordingly to those teachings, especially in lapses of personal morality. The breaking of vows while conducting vows for the community or using ordained authority to control the population for personal gain has always been the dominant expression of this archetype's shadow. From the corrupt temple priests of ancient Egyptians to the scheming, power-hungry prelates and popes of medieval Christianity, shadow priests have interfered in secular politics to gain church power. They have extorted money from people who need food and shelter just to build larger temples and or cathedrals. They have held back women's rights and gay rights and misused the people's trust to satisfy their own sexual needs. Moving on, we have the prince. The connotations of certain words is as significant as their literal meaning in the determining the nature of an archetype. Our word prince comes from Latin roots, meaning first or chief, and the word was originally applied to the ruler of the principality or the son of a sovereign, but we often use the term today for anyone prominent in his field, for any generous individual. Yet, the true prince is a rule in training, someone who is in service to the people. He will rule, whether that is a literal kingdom or figuratively or a spiritual one. The shadow prince can manifest as a young man with great feelings of entitlement, an heir, a parent who uses his position solely for self, or someone who stands in an evil empire, and so they take on all negative characteristics of the king, but they consider themselves to be a prince. So we've already went over the prostitute. So I'm not going to do that one again. If you want to know about the prostitute, it is in a previous video. Next, we have the queen or the empress. So besides having a rulership position in a court, the queen represents power and authority in all women. Symbolically, her court can be anything from a corporation to her home. The image of the dark or evil queen has been largely represented by male authors of fairy tales and folklore as a wicked force. The queen archetype is also associated with arrogance and a defensive posture that is symbolic of a need to protect one's personal and emotional power. Queens are rarely portrayed as having a trustworthy support system. Instead, they are lonely figures surrounded by a court filled with potential traitors, rivals, and backstabbers. Women who have identified themselves as queens in the workshops of Miss Carolyn Mace, she said that they tend to have these qualities in common, suggesting that if it were not for the aggression or in their personality or their characteristics, they would be vulnerable to others' control. Challenges related to control, personal authority, and leadership play a primary role in forming the lessons of personal development that are inherent to this archetype. The benevolent queen uses her authority to protect those in her court and sees her own empowerment enhanced by relationships and experience. The shadow queen can slip into aggressive and destructive patterns of behavior, mostly when she perceives that her authority or capacity to maintain control over the court is being challenged. The queen bee is a mixed image. She has the astonishing ability to power the entire hive without leaving her chamber, yet at the cost of enslaving the rest of her community. So let's continue. We have the rebel. So think revolutionary, even nonconformist, political protester. Our images of the rebel may be too closely aligned with the cliches of youth culture to let us see the deeper significance of this valuable archetype. Whether it's politically inclined, like Martin Luther King, or someone like an artistic innovator like Van Gogh. The rebel is a key component of all human growth and development. The rebel in a support group can be a powerful aid in helping the group break out of old tribal patterns. It can also help you see past tired preconceptions in your field of professional or creative endeavors. The rebel can also lead you to reject spiritual systems that do not serve your inner need for direct union with the divine and to seek out more appropriate paths. The shadow rebel may compel you to rebel out of peer pressure or for the sake of fashion, and so become, like, in a sense, another manifestation of conformity. The shadow rebel may also reject legitimate authority simply because it is asking you to do something you find difficult or unpleasant. Be especially careful in evaluating your rebellious impulses. Even if the rebel is not a part of your intimate circle of archetypes, or you didn't list it as your primary, you probably have it to some extent, and you should pay attention to its urgings, because almost everybody has a little bit of rebel in them somewhere. Alright, last one for this video. We have the rescuer. So the rescuer, if you think about when I was talking about the knight and the healer and the hero, the rescuer came up as well. In its empowered profile, the rescuer assists when needed, and once the rescue mission is accomplished, the rescuer withdraws. A rescuer provides an infusion of strength and support to help others survive a difficult situation, crisis, or process that they lack the stamina or inner knowledge to maneuver through themselves. Unlike the knight, which too is related, the rescuer is more common among women, especially in its shadow aspect. The shadow rescuer often surfaces through a romantic connection in which one party seeks to establish an intimate bond by lending emotional support with a hidden agenda that assumes the rescued party will return the rescuer's romantic feelings. Such romances are designed to fail or destined to fail, because the shadow agenda has to keep the rescuee in need of being rescued. So the rescuer loses significance. She loses her significance. Healing and empowering the rescuer within is a common emotional challenge, because being needed is essential to our nature. Most people can relate in part to the characteristics of this archetype. They are somewhat parallel to those of the knight, the healer, the hero, and even the servant. So, if you feel drawn to this archetype, be careful to compare the characteristics of those others before deciding to add the rescuer to your family. So, this concludes the archetypes that I'm going to go over in this video. We have a good amount, but we are getting there. It's not as many as it was before. Like I said, I still want to have all archetypes out before the end of May. Hopefully, if possible, maybe by Monday we will be done with the list, so then we can go into the next steps. However, you guys have a good day. Enjoy the rest of your day. Stay cool, stay hydrated, meditate, ground, do all that good stuff. And I will be back with you later with another video. Mwah. Peace.